Hi, I'm going to double down on this. I recently made a video talking about Alex O'Connor, who recently debated an AI chatbot for the website Catholic Answers. I don't think that AI apologist did a very good job defending a Christian worldview. I think he was easily confused, and Alex O'Connor got the best of that exchange. But I made that video because I think Alex O'Connor, as nice as intelligent as he is, has a deeper problem. I want to be very clear. I don't think that Alex means any harm. I think he is an intelligent person who's really trying to make sense of a complicated world, a complicated life. But I'm confident that he holds some philosophical views that are dangerous. I'll tell you why. I'm also now confident that many of his followers, based on the feedback I got on my video, don't fully understand what it is that Alex believes. To be clear, I don't think Alex is going to hold these views long term. I think he's arriving at the conclusions that one day he'll hold, and I respect that. Here's the problem. Alex O'Connor does not believe that anything is evil. Nothing is good. Nothing is evil. Some of his followers in my comments objected to my characterization, but here's Alex in his own words.
Maybe you can tell me what I'm missing from my picture then, because like I say, I'm broadly speaking an ethical emotivist. But
say more about the consequences of that. What does that mean?
I'm not sort of, I don't know, I always like to be a little bit agnostic about these things, you know, open to change and all that, but I'm broadly attracted to this view that when we make ethical statements or pronouncements, we're essentially just expressing emotions at each other. And so when I say that murder is wrong, I'm sort of expressing some kind of distaste, or I'm expressing something akin to saying, don't do that, which is just like a command. It doesn't have any truth value. It's not even subjectively true or false. It's just like a command or an expression.
Alex here is actually disagreeing with a well-known atheist, Sam Harris. Sam believes that moral truths exist objectively, and that we can discover them through means of science and things like this. Alex holds that moral truths are not really truths at all. He thinks that to say murder is wrong in his own words is to say that it is distasteful. He, in his own words, says that this statement, murder is evil, has no objective meaning, and it doesn't have any objective or subjective even truth to it. He doesn't believe in subjective reality so much. He's made morality even less than this. His view reduces morality to expressions of distaste or annoyance. Here's Alex clarifying again.
It sounds to me, just to wrap this section up, because it's weird. I think we almost agree in that me being an emotivist and just thinking that all there essentially is people's preferences and people acting in accordance with them. It almost sounds like you agree with me.
Some argue that regardless of what Alex's view is on morality, he still has the right to criticize the Bible or perhaps my worldview. Yeah, that's not necessarily wrong, but he can't show moral contradiction in a system if there are no moral truths. If he has reduced morality to not a propositional statement, but essentially an emotion, what are you going to do? Contradict an emotion against an emotion? I think Alex actually has a sense that morality is much more than this. I think he is just such a moral skeptic that he can't quite get his head there. Now, I appreciated some of the cordial disagreements in my comments. I don't mind those at all, actually. Some of those comments seem to think that I think that morality is based on the Bible itself, which is not really exactly what I believe. But I want to just point this out. Many atheists, many people who are not Catholics, I'm a convert to the Catholic Church, many people who are Christians of various kind, or even not Christians, have reasoned their way to the belief that some sort of objective morality exists, from Plato to Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative, and atheist Sam Harris. I don't think Alex is a nihilist, but I think that his view is weak. It will not ward off nihilism. Here's why this is important to me. We live in very uncertain times. In the past, and I'm going to get a little PG-13 here, in the past, people with moral conviction, and I think Alex has moral conviction. I think if he were put in a situation, if I'm reading his character right, in which he had to risk his own safety to help a friend who was in danger or some oppressive person, we don't know what we're going to do in a dangerous situation until we get there. But if I'm reading his character right, I think he would act to try to help his friend out of moral conviction or love for that person. His view, I think, gives him no such grounds to do so. In the past, people with moral convictions stood up to tyrants, abusive slavers, and this is what spurred this. Alex is criticizing slavery in the Bible and violence in the Bible And he's expressing not just a moral distaste, he's adding weight to it. He's adding moral indignation in his criticisms of the Bible. And I'm saying his view allows him no grounds to do that, because if his view is distaste for slavery, understandable. What if Joshua's view or Muhammad's view or Stalin's view find something else distasteful? Dostoevsky, in his book The Brothers K, gives a very terrifying example of this. There were soldiers who took infants, were throwing them up in the air only for them to land on their bayonets. And they found great pleasure and entertainment in this. Are we really going to say that this is not an evil thing? Can we really make no distinction? And I know Alex would. His view allows him no solid ground to stand on this. If someone in a Russian village, if their children are being slaughtered back in some war in the 1800s, their infants are being murdered, tortured, can we not say that the love of that mother for her child, who might sacrifice herself to try to save that child, who gives herself, or a father who stands for his family, is not some way objectively better than an evil man who will murder them where they stand? I think the world is headed to uncertain times. I get criticized for this, but I think there are people who sympathize with violent Marxist revolutionaries. I think there are problems forming in some elements of the right. I think racism is on the rise. I think the liberal world order is being challenged in my own country. It's increasingly plausible that we might live in a time where our children or our moral convictions are challenged. There's slavery in the world right now. If it's evil, let's do something about it. I don't think most of us, though times are hard, life is hard, I don't think most of us living today have faced a life or death situation, of the situation of potentially losing your family and loved ones and wealth and your own life against a Stalin or a Hitler who believes in confiscating everything you have and leaving you to starve, or racial superiority and murdering your ethnicity. To be so cavalier with morality is to have already forfeited. What happens if violent oppression becomes the norm? If violently oppressing our opponents becomes the norm? What happens if we're challenged for our beliefs, whatever they are? And I'm a Christian, but I think this might go many ways. It's going to require more than saying, I just have a preference. I'm expressing distaste for oppression or murder. C.S. Lewis, in the book The Abolition of Man, it's a book you should probably read 3 times, just to make sure that you understand it. He's arguing that at the decline of Christianity in the modern West, which was happening by the 1930s, he's arguing that pre-modernity, virtually every civilization, even if they disagreed around the edges of what is moral, they're saying that there is something that is moral. They believed in something called the Tao, or the natural law, that in pagan societies and Christian societies, good men knew that there was a difference objectively between courage in the battlefield and cowardice. That it's not a logical syllogism that'll keep a man on the battlefield if his life and his friend's life is at risk. Now, I served in the Marine Corps. I never saw combat. Many of my friends did. I went through quite a bit of training and can, I think, have some comprehension of what this would be like. It would not be an easy thing. It's not a logical puzzle or a syllogism or a preference that would cause one person to lay down his or her life for their friends. It's having a chest, an organ between the head and the belly, the reason and the selfish appetites that gives you conviction to stand for what's right in hard times. And I will stand by the claim that the modern world needs to revisit this, and we need to do it now. I think if our ancestors from virtually any continent would look at us, they would probably loathe our moral views. I say this as one who is choicefully a Catholic, but I think this is true of ancient pagan societies, Greek, Norse. I think this is true of Africans, native nations on this continent. I think they would find our rejection of the transcendent, our rejection of moral truths to be disturbing. If you think that oppression is wrong, you forfeited the ground besides an emotional expression of distaste. This is what philosophers like Immanuel Kant and even Friedrich Nietzsche, who's not even a Christian, he's an atheist, They knew that this was a problem and were trying to do something about it. They were trying to regain some moral footing, if you will, at the advent of what they saw as coming nihilism. I think Alex is probably a very good person. I think he's very intelligent and he's trying to figure these things out. But his view, I'm afraid, is dangerous because it's weak and it cannot defend off what might be coming down the pipeline. If you want to know more, check out a philosopher named Roger Scruton. He's passed away, but he was a British philosopher, I think worth listening to, on Immanuel Kant. But I've actually moved towards Aquinas and St. Augustine on these things. I would invite Alex and his followers to reconsider this. I know you won't agree, but I hope you know that your life matters. It's not subjective. Your life has a meaning. What we do matters. So live your life. Don't end it. Keep living, okay? As always, thanks for watching. God bless.